Thanks for tuning in to Listens Live. I'm Sean Bowdy. It's Thursday. We've got a great show for you today as we take you to the rundown and show you who's coming up today on Wave Listens Live. TKO Fight Club and TKO Parkinson's coming up to talk about the Kentucky Derby, an exciting new event to help raise funds for the therapeutic training, support programs, and research initiatives that make a meaningful impact on the lives of those affected by Parkinson's. We'll have all the details on that coming up. And it's Thoughts Knob Thursday with Chopper certified therapist Paula Swope. And today we're talking all about how the Thoughts Knob podcast can help you heal physically and emotionally. We'll tell you about that coming up. But up first today, it's Schenault Solutions during Women's History Month to talk about all their services, specifically women leading in change and philanthropy. Joining me now is Stevon Edwards, founder and principal at Schenault Solutions. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you for having me.
So I think we kind of decided beforehand, we're going to go way back to the beginning here. I mean, really early. Tell me about the history of philanthropy.
So the word philanthropy actually means loving humankind. Okay, so it goes all the way back to loving people. But even before the word came about, women were leading the way in philanthropy, doing individual service toward individuals, whether it be direct service for women and children, orphans, food, whatever it may be, right? They were leading the way. And some notable women in philanthropy that we should remember are Arcella McCarty, who actually gave her life savings toward education. And then another one that people really are familiar with is Elizabeth Hamilton. So Eliza, we know her as Eliza, who actually started an orphanage after her husband died, which is still in operation today.
Oh, anyone who's seen Hamilton, familiar with that one. Just tell me a little bit about Schenault Solutions, what you do. Just let people understand what it is that you guys offer for people that come to you for help.
Yes, so Schenault Solutions is a capacity building firm for nonprofits and businesses. And capacity building really means that you are developing the skills, knowledge, and infrastructure of an organization to adapt to change. And I do that through a couple of different ways. I provide strategic planning services, which helps an organization see itself 3 to 5 years from now. I also provide project and program management, which helps an organization actually implement the strategic plan. But then also there's inclusion action audits that I do, and action planning, which really focuses on equity. And we know that today is the anniversary of the death of Breonna Taylor, and that really kind of pushed that work forward in working with over 50 different organizations around Kentuckiana on improving equity across our community and making sure that their mission has a deeper impact.
Yeah, we saw a big shift, I think, in around that time, 25 years ago, between a global pandemic, the way that played out, all the fight against racial injustices, and you've seen, I think, a lot of different people step up in this way, and you're helping nonprofits in a way that they can continue to do that kind of work.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, the capacity building services are sometimes out of reach, but I also have created the Strategy Academy, which is a virtual strategic planning platform that actually guides organizations through the process of strengthening their infrastructure. And so it's self-paced, folks still get to interact with me, but it's making sure that the social good organizations across Kentuckiana, across actually the United States, have what they need in order to really and truly make the change they seek.
If you had to break that down in a couple of sentences, what capacity building is, just for someone who's listening today, they want to know exactly what capacity building is. What is that?
So when we talk about the skills, knowledge, and the infrastructure, we're talking about the human resources that you have, right? Making sure that the people who are on staff, that the volunteers that you have, and the leadership that you have within your organization have the ability to actually do the work, right? Do the work and make the change. And so that's a major turning point for a lot of organizations, whether they are new or whether they are 150 years old.
So first of all, I've already got Hamilton stuck in my head from when you were talking about Eliza Hamilton. But you think about dating all the way back to the American Revolution, the history of philanthropy, the history of women in philanthropy. For you and your work, how important is it to just make sure that people are aware of the impact that women have had during the last 250, 300 years here in the United States, but also that they're still having now?
Absolutely. So now we know that there are wonderful organizations being led by women, wonderful initiatives being led by women. I was actually able to stand on stage with 9 other women who are doing wonderful work at the most recent MLK celebration at Kentucky Center for the Arts. And so they are doing great work. And we know that, of course, women have, I'm not going to say have more compassion, but compassion is a characteristic. And I think that's what really and truly started the philanthropic movement before the word even began, right? It's that nurturing and that care, actually loving other people. And so what does loving other people look like for organizations? Does it look like direct service? Does it look like social service? Does it look like action? Does it look like advocacy? And so those are things that we also explore in the services that I provide.
All right, someone's watching, they're like, wow, this is cool, they're doing great stuff. I want to get in contact. I want to see how they can help me. How do they do that?
Oh, absolutely. They most definitely, first, they need to dedicate their time, talent, treasure, or ties to an organization that fits the passion that they have, right? And we know that time is volunteering, actually showing up. We know that talent is giving special skills and expertise, and treasure is most important right now because many of our social good organizations are suffering from the lack of government support at the moment, but then ties. And so it's the people that you know that really does make a movement move, right? And so if there are certain individuals who are resources that you can connect to an organization, that's wonderful and that works. But also if you don't know what organizations to connect to, I'm going to be coming on again throughout the summer, and I will be introducing folks to some of the organizations that I support and that I work with, and that have really become community partners in this work to transform philanthropy.
We talked about this briefly, the Strategy Academy. What is that, and how does that affect people in this community?
Right, so the Strategy Academy is a low-cost but quality way for organizations to build up their capacity. Often when I say capacity building services are out of reach, they're in the 5 figures, right, in order to, and that budget doesn't look quite good for a lot of organizations that are out there doing that work because they may not have the budget to cover it. However, I've been able to translate that into a really great program where you meet with me weekly still, but it's actually you learning what I do and being able to apply strategy thinking day to day.
And it looks like the deadline to get in on that is coming up. How do people enroll in that? When is the deadline?
So enrollment is open right now. We start April 1st, but you can enroll up through April 15th. And you enroll on my website, Schenault.solutions. And so please go ahead and hit up the website. Make sure you enroll. I give people time so they can figure out their budget because there is still a charge to that. However, you do get me, of course, but you also get quality services in order to make sure that your organization has the impact that you desire.
And it's got to be so rewarding watching that impact created.
Absolutely.
Just based on what you guys are doing here. So yeah, go ahead, visit Schenault. One more time. It's on the screen.
Solutions. Yes.
Okay. Schenault, I was looking for the .com, but .solutions. Got it. Okay. But I appreciate you joining me here today.
Absolutely.
And I hope everyone visits that website and signs up if they find it useful. Coming up though next, TKO Parkinson's and TKO Fight Club here to preview the 2025 Kentucky Derby. I sat down with them last week. We'll have all the details coming up next.